We're here for a Friday, December 8th. Oh my gosh, time. She is moving on. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Anytime with Ken and Alden. I'm Ken, that's Alden. How you doing, Alden?
Oh, I'm ready to sit back today, solve all the world's problems, and by the end of it, throw away all my antidepressants.
We're gonna get to that here in a second. You know, remember when I said right before the show, I was like, "Oh, I'm totally ready. Let's go live." I totally forgot that. No, I wanted to promote the episode on my Twitter page, my X page. Here we go. I'm gonna retweet that now. Woo! Live on air. You know, It's been one of those days and one of those weeks.
We just need a few unpaid interns that we can pay an exposure.
Yeah. You know what? We'll start taking applications for interns here. I'll start with Jared the Dark Jedi. He can be our intern, but he has to pay us. That's the thing. Hey, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna have a lot of fun trying to navigate the news. A lot of news. We're gonna talk. Our main topic today, Alden, is finding hope beyond the headlines, because that's just kind of where we both are. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of those things where, behind the scenes, we talk. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And it just got to the point where we were like, I think you said it best. There's so much of X, and none of X is good. And,
yeah.
And we're entertainment guys. We like to have fun. We like to laugh. We are nerds.
I like to do this a lot. Hey.
Yeah, that's what you do in comedy clubs, right? That's how you approach each other. That's like cultural.
Hey. There was actually a comedy teacher famous for years. She's probably still going. And I have no problem with comedy classes, by the way. Learn structure, learn format, learn how to approach it. No shade to comedy classes, but she would teach, when you do a joke, put your hands out and go, hey.
I feel like maybe there was like an era specifically for that, but sadly, I don't think that era is now.
It's a parody. Hey, for those who are just tuning in, hi, welcome to the show. We're live every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific on my YouTube channel. But also, don't forget, you can subscribe to our own YouTube channel, Anytime with Ken and Alden. We're building that out simultaneously. Links down below. Follow us there. Clips, supplemental content is coming. I swear, it's the holidays. We're having it. In fact, right now, I have my wonderful landscapers are here. Just absolutely destroying a fig tree per our request. So you might hear rah, rah, through this. It's what we're live, Alden. That's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a time of renewal for the backyard and for us as people. And you're right. It's sort of the thing where it's like, we got all these plans, but I like what you said, where it was like, this is sort of not a soft launch. These count. We're not going to throw these away like they're not canon. But 2024, new year, business starts. I mean, look, we both worked in radio. Fun fact, December book in radio doesn't count. Those ratings do not count. So when your favorite radio station is going to Christmas songs, it's gonna die, and the ratings do not count. So
they don't count the ratings for your radio station when all you play is U2's cover of Come Home for Christmas, whatever it was. That's all we did. That's all we did at our rock radio station. We got some people. Yeah. What did you guys do? Did you have to program the Christmas music?
We just preset it in the system and everything and time it out. But as you said that, I didn't mean to cut you off, but as you said that, I had this thought of like Christmas song battle before the holidays. That might be something we need to do, because I ride for McCartney as the best Christmas song by a popular artist. I love it.
I love my Beatles. I love my Beatles. Rest in peace to Denny Lane, who passed away this week, 79, founding member of Wings, and key member of the early Moody Blues. I sing Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time a lot. I like the song.
Yeah.
But I like the YouTuber. I like Tom Petty's got that one Christmas song out there where he ends with him going, "I want a Rickenbacker for Christmas." It's great. I don't know. That's I know you have some friends, Scotty, Jerry, and the team that do some Rankin type of shows. That's a big undertaking, but maybe we can do a smaller version here on Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're about to throw it to these comments here. We're looking at Eli from In a Galaxy agrees. Let's look here. We got Grinch. What about Grinch 2000 by Busta Rhymes?
I like that. I'm a Busta Rhymes fan. I enjoyed the works of Mr. Rhymes back in the day. Charlie Ashby, who brings in his London cred. I'm a fellow wonderful Christmas time defender. I even love War's Over, but the best holiday Beatles tracks is Ding Dong by George Harrison. Ooh. I think Ding Dong, that's a win. That's what I think.
That's good stuff.
One of my actual favorites is the Pretenders do 2,000 Miles, which is like one of those. It's a normal song that's Christmas adjacent because it sounds like a Christmas song. You play a lot during Christmas seasons all over the years. So I like that one. See, now we've accidentally programmed an episode and we're doing it now.
Yeah, I know. This is a little tease. How many emo songs and emo covers can I sneak into this? We will find out. And of course, everybody else will be able to chime in. I love that people that have joined us so far on Anytime immediately want to yell their take on what we're talking about, because that just makes me feel so affirmed. You guys are the OGs. In 10 years, you'll be able to say you were the original fans and poo-poo all the new fans.
So now there's some debate over 2,000 Miles with the Pretenders. Charlie Ashby says, yes, Ken. I always love how they would clarify that 2,000 Miles is very far away. True. Jared says, never heard that as a Christmas tune, but I buy it. Also, I like Jared taking the side here in the War on Christmas there. It was big on our radio station. It was every December. Our program director was like, it's time to play 2,000 Miles. Not to be confused with Kiss and Ace Frehley doing 2,000 Man cover.
Which I love. I love the Kiss version of 2,000 Man.
I absolutely love that. Alden, we have our first segment of the day. What Ben Affleck are we?
Ben Affleck, truly my personal baby Jesus, my New Year baby, all of those things. Love him so much. This Ben Affleck. This is my personal holiday icon right here. Ben Affleck.
That's beautiful.
This one I felt captured a lot of actually our personal ethos and energy this week. You and I specifically of we're at work. We're done up. This is the red carpet for The Way Back, a film that he did at that basketball coaching film. A co-star was Janina Gavankar. Played his wife in that film. Wonderful Iden Versio herself. And Ben, I met him on the press junket for this film. He was very into it. Very nice man. But you can see here, I'm at work. I'm enjoying it. But the pain is creeping in a little bit. I am zoning out of work. For a brief moment, the world crept in and ruined it for me, and I have to try to find it again.
Yeah, this is me at Schmodown live events after where I'm very happy to meet everyone and love them, but I'm just sitting there doing that. In about an hour, I'll be in Mark Ellis's hotel room drinking Coors Light. Trying to smile like Ron DeSantis.
That there's a new sheriff in town. Yeah, it's hard to stay present sometimes. That's something we all battle. But when you do have to be on like that, sometimes it's like, okay, what am I doing after? But also even big things. I remember being in London this year and having the thought in my mind, man, I'm gonna have to pay bills when I get home.
Oh yeah,
I gotta go right back to work. My room's a mess. All those real thoughts. Affleck could be thinking about how his daughter, this is a guy that got yelled at by his teenage daughter that day, or something, that it doesn't even need to be something terrible. It's just God, I goofed earlier.
Violet Affleck yelled at him. Wow.
Yeah, Violet or Serafina Affleck told him, "Dad, I like Charlie Cox more as Daredevil, or worse, I like Robert Pattinson more as Batman."
I think Ben would be like that. He just think it's okay. I'm gonna get some Siggies and a Dunkin' Donuts. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me.
Absolutely.
That is our Affleck for today. That is who we are, and that is the vibe we got. But we do have some news we're gonna get to here. Here we go. Here's a look at some of the headlines making the world spin. And spin is definitely the word. I'm not saying this week was different than any other week before in history, but quite frankly, there was just too much news this week. If you try to keep up, you might be suffering from whiplash, not the award-winning J.K. Simmons type, but the kind you need to go to the ER for, but refuse to because you can't cover the copay. That's an American joke. There was a shooting in Vegas. Ukraine funding was upheld. Tommy Tuberville released his hold on military promotions. Kevin McCarthy took the easy way out politically. George Santos started exposing Republicans, which made me like him. 4 Republicans yelled at each other on stage again. Israel expanded their ground campaign, while some university presidents seemed to struggle to speak out against anti-Semitism. 10 million people in the Pacific Northwest dealt with floods and flood warnings. Hunter Biden is a dirty, dirty man, and a pop queen won a big honor. See? Too much. A few days after Las Vegas authorities stopped a 16-year-old boy from carrying out a terror plot in the name of ISIS, the city suffered a tragedy when a 67-year-old college professor went on a shooting rampage on the campus of UNLV. 3 people died, as well as the shooter. One other victim was in stable condition at the time that we went live. What else can be said about these needless losses of lives at the hands of another mentally unwell person with legal access to a weapon? Nothing. At this point, we might as well lean into it. It was the 80th reported school shooting this year, putting us ahead of last year's pace. We're record setters, people. This is what we do, and we do it well. Let's be honest. It's a sad truth. When you saw the trending story of another active shooter and saw that only 3 people died, you went back to posting on social media as normal. This would have been the lead story on the nightly news for a month straight in my childhood. Tom Brokaw would have won awards for going to Vegas and covering the aftermath. Now it gives you just enough pause to not post online for maybe, 20 minutes? And yes, I know this is not a gun problem. I hear that. It's a mental health problem. Shout out to all my old friends who point that out on Facebook like they solved the Kobayashi Maru training exercise before Spock did, yet continue to vote for people that underfund mental health programs. You're the real winners here. Well, you and guns, which is, they're setting records this year, so big year for them. We won't reveal too much about the shooter, but one thing to note is that his webpage included several posts about common conspiracy theories, which leads us to our next story, the Republican presidential nominee debate on Wednesday night. Chris Christie, the only candidate to speak out against the previous president, traded barbs all night with former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, Florida Governor Boots McGliffs, and con man Vivek Ramaswamy, all of whom will finish no better than second to the future federal prisoner. But the one moment to focus on might be when Vivek Ramaswamy ranted that he was the only one on the stage strong enough to speak truth to power before proceeding to pedal, push, and stand up courageously for a series of conspiracies, lies, and at best maybe half-baked maybes. Ramaswamy, who again amassed his fortune in biotech and finance through a series of strategic swerves and lies, called January 6th an inside job, claimed the great replacement theory is not only true, but the Democrats' platform, stood by the 2020 election being rigged lie, while hyping other lies and rallying cries often accepted not only as truth, but a reason to act by people like the 67-year-old Vegas shooter. Ramaswamy was booed by some watching the debate live, but even then, that might be because people were upset they couldn't be the one to say it. I want to laugh at this guy. I want to make fun of this guy. I want to mock him for his book, Woke Inc., but a lot of us did that to a certain blowhard in 2015 and 2016. Pay attention to him, because if you aren't, other people are, and those people will be voting in November, and I think that is who he is trying to speak to. 12 months after he forced us all to watch him go through 15 elections for Speaker of the House, he's out. Kevin McCarthy announced this week that not only will he not seek re-election for another term in Congress, the Bakersfield-based Republican representative will be leaving office at the end of this year. This comes 2 months after McCarthy was historically fired by the gaggle of Republican extremists, or as they're called now, Republicans, led by Matt Gaetz. In response, Matt Gaetz simply posted, "McLeavin." You know what? I had some jokes for this segment, but fuck it. We'll go with Gaetz' joke. I can't keep up with that kind of whip-smart wit. Good job, Matty. McCarthy leaves Congress with a reputation as someone who was never really interested in policymaking and worked hard to rehabilitate Trump's image and Hump's image in the GOP in the early days of 2021. And like his buddy, Paul Ryan, before him, this move to not face the polls is viewed as a final act of cowardice by many. It's quite a legacy. Thoughts and prayers to him as he seeks to become a consultant, lobbyist, and/or Fox News pundit. McCarthy's position will go to a special election as soon as one is declared by Gavin Newsom, though Fox News will say Ron DeSantis gets to say it first. And finally, our Lord and Savior Taylor Swift was named Time Magazine's Person of the Year this week, and I think that's great. I like Tay-Tay. I hum along to her songs, since she has the attention of so much of the current generation, and I hope her and Travis Kelce are having the kind of sex that can only happen with the lights on and the windows closed. To have a super strong opinion about this story, particularly a negative reaction, is to spend too much time on things that serve as cultural signposts you can't change and probably don't understand anyways. For instance, there are many people that think Taylor Swift's rise to prominence, as if she came out of nowhere this year, is a left-wing plan to ignite her fan base into voting against anyone with an R in front of their name or who looks like Scooter Braun. Like so many right-wing conspiracies, it's not true. But as the anti-Swift movement builds on the right, it will all come true, which is why I, for one, welcome Taylor Swift as my new overlord. Plus, how many Time Persons of the Year can you name? Gandhi? General William Westmoreland, the commander of U.S. forces in Vietnam during 1965? Or I don't know, Spuds MacKenzie, was he one? None of this should affect your day. Click the link, read it, and get back to crying in the shower. And yes, Time magazine named Hitler the Man of the Year in 1938, but that wasn't a good thing. They were trying to say, hey, dude's cooking up some shit. Pay attention. I know the words to Bad Love. We all need to shake it off sometimes. And hi, it's me. I'm moving on with my day. It's me. Congratulations, Taylor. Take a day off or something. That's the news. Alden, anything you want to chat about?
Oh man, I need a nap. I'm exhausted. Just
What?
reliving that entire week. Absolutely brutal. Beautiful job as always, my friend. I feel like life would be easier if you just read it all to me every week, and I didn't have to find that out on social.
Glad.
I have thoughts on all these things, but I think, as we said in the headline, it really should just be about us processing the whiplash of existential dread and dystopian fear and sometimes ridiculous comedy, because we live in this weird time where some of our greatest jokes are also our greatest threats. And you know, the last president, people like Vivek, people like Santos, by his cameos, I guess. I don't know. It's it's really weird to think about. And I agree with you on so many of the things that you said. I agree with you on this Taylor Swift thing. I'm not a T-Swizzle guy. I'm not.
Now, if Dua Lipa was Times Person of the Year, this would be a different conversation.
Well, I mean, yeah, we should only hope to have a world that aspires to so much. But it's like, yeah, Hitler, Stalin, twice, the dying planet Earth, computers as a concept, like we, us, me and you, we've all been Time Person of the Year. So like, think about the worst person you know. They've won this, so it doesn't mean much. It's fine. We're fine.
It's a cultural signpost thing. Like, and I even saw, like, it's easy to poke fun at the right, saying, here it is, they're just kind of whipping up her Donald Trump was the person of the year in 2015. Time has always said, the magazine, not the construct we all live our lives under, that it's about who is making the news that year. That is the point behind the Hitler one, and I'm sure the Trump one as well. That is kind of like the dictionary releasing, here's our word of the year, the one used the most. And as far as it's like I said, it's easy to poke fun at maybe on the right, saying, hey, this is a conspiracy. But I saw some people, I don't even want to say on the left, but I saw some people who aren't peddling that conspiracy upset that she was the choice. It should be this person. It should be that person. Sure. Absolutely. Whatever. Like, I don't think Spuds MacKenzie was the person of the year, but he might as well have been, because for 1 year, Spuds MacKenzie was the most talked about thing in my circles of friends. So
and it's also like, who do I expect to do the righteous thing in any given situation? Would it have been nice if Time magazine said the Palestinian journalists that have been butchered and lost their families and continued performing their jobs? Absolutely. But I don't expect Time magazine to be the head of governance. I expect people in government to govern and to do the right thing. They should be supporting them. Time magazine, it's like, all right, yeah, it's prestigious and it's important, but they made the God, what did they call them? The silence breakers. It wasn't whistleblowers. I think it was silence breakers. Everybody that kickstarted Me Too, everybody that helped bring down tyrants like Weinstein. Yes, great. But what did Time do after that? They're just here to say this is the moment. They're not here to do reporting on the moment. You know, it was about the industries. It was, you know, it's weird to try to throw, and it's like, look, Taylor Swift's bringing in the GDP of small countries with her tour. It is kind of big. It is.
And you know, there's some conversation. Her, Margot Robbie, Greta Gerwig, Beyonce, our friend Jen Landa really wants to make sure that's part of the conversation, because Beyonce should be. They're out there not just killing it doing great. They're making money for those around them. They're affecting economies locally. It's like when WrestleMania goes to a city and the city's like, we made $15 million that weekend. Taylor Swift shows up, towns do well, venues do well. And yes, it's part of the capitalist system we're in, but that's what it is. And it does help folks. And just the part of the conversation, like I don't have a problem. Like I'm a football fan. I watch my Dolphins every week. I don't care about her showing up to games, meaning I'm glad she is. It's fun. It's a Sunday. She's up there cheering on the guy that she's dating. Great. There's bigger problems in the world, but I don't care about it on a Sunday. And it's bringing attention. It's just simple. And I just people who take it too seriously on any side of it, I'm like, just keep going, keep moving.
Yeah. Well said. Well said indeed. So that's the tip of the iceberg of this. How do we navigate issues? I mean, she really is a good example. Can you care about Taylor Swift's success, relationship, music, fashion, whatever, and also care about these other things at the same time? Some people don't think you can. I think you do. I think you can. It's complicated.
We're in this very interesting spot, and my studio is so hot, I'm gonna have to turn on a fan. I apologize. It's supposed to be winter. Even in California, it gets cold. It's not today. I don't know if that's a concern. We should look into it. Yeah, this topic, and we'll still bring some of the news topics up because it's all part of it. It's there you go. Brian has a great look at this. All the hotels in Stockholm are sold out the weekend she is there. So there you go. There you go. Helping the hotel industry. As are Mark Ellis and I, when we go to Seattle, all the hotels are wide open. You can get a good rate when we do comedy at the end of the month. This was the type of week, and this is not new. That's why I made that reference. I know this is not new to just our time. It's just we're so aware of it, and this conversation that pops up about we just might not all be built for this. I want to take everything going on with Vivek seriously because people I know, including my family, think he's great. They think he's just a great, wonderful businessman. They haven't looked into how he made his finances, which were dubious at best. That's a key concern. McCarthy burning down the house, getting tossed out, and then walking away like a coward, not even facing the polls. You're free to make a decision in your career. That's something that should concern us. We're going to talk about even like in the SAG-AFTRA deal, the apathy on the vote. But then this shooting happens, another one. And the jokes I made about the loss of life being so small, you keep going on with your life, that comes from my point of view. And I want to start with that, Alden. That's just where we're at, where you look at the trend. And I come from a background, I did a lot of training. I actually have a book here of 217 case studies on active shooters. That was my public safety job for a year, for 17 years. I was concerned about that. I was trained on that. I studied that stuff. You do have to divide the stats up, 4 or less. So let's say if it seems cold and callous, but how you focus on it and fund for it and train for it does matter. But when I see that, click on it and think, oh, only 3, it might've been personal. It's smaller scale. I can't focus on it. And then I start to feel really weird about that. And that's where I want to start with you. How do you react to that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's interesting because I was in high school. Well, actually, take it back even further. I was in elementary school for Virginia Tech, and then I was in high school for Sandy Hook and Newtown, and I'm from Connecticut, and like I know where that is, and I've been by there, and so that one felt weird, and we had like calling relatives, I remember back then, and just wondering, what was going on. But it's been said 1,000 times. The debate about this stuff sort of ended there. Like when it was kindergartners and when it was little ones, that it was over. They should be, I think, college freshmen now, or maybe college sophomores. And it's like we live sort of in a post apathy, post sort of care society where I've lived now through the surveillance era. I don't remember airports pre 9/11, and I've also lived now in this dystopian sort of this just happens, and people keep it's almost like you're being collectively gaslit. Like I was talking to one of my cousins recently, one of my mother's cousins, so there's a generational gap, and she was very much about like, well, it's it's our right, it's like we have our freedoms, it's our right to bear arms and this, that, and the other thing, and it's like, okay. Yeah, so all these other nations have that too. And this is a uniquely American problem. So it sort of makes you feel like you're living in this land of complete and utter denial of something that seems unavoidable. Like, there's 1,000 different viral clips you can go to about what happened in Australia, how they fixed it, how Japan handles this, how all these nations do. And even then, you pointed it out. You've got this Facebook crowd and we generalize, it's not you're on Facebook, so you think this. Yeah, it's, the people that you would find fighting on Facebook will often think, well, it's a mental health problem. It's like, okay, you think we're the only mentally ill nation in the world? You think mentally ill people only exist here? And it doesn't hold water. And so it really makes you feel hopeless because you're raised thinking, we do our case studies, we read our books, we find data, we figure things out, we assess, and we execute. But we really don't. We find data and we wipe our asses with it, and we say that data is not real, it doesn't matter, it doesn't apply to us.
Yeah, I always, I always used to say back in my public safety days, like, we are just beholden to the goodwill of humanity. If someone wants to come in here right now and shoot, they're going to do it. Not much we can do to stop it. And I don't mean that like you would watch people. I could get some different conversation and everything, but like it's tough. And I love your perspective. Sadly, tragically, that you grown up in an era. We're going to talk about your age at the end of the show. Birthday coming up. We're in an era, it seems hopeless, and that's why it is all intertwined to me. Kevin McCarthy is a small cog in the bigger problem, that there's so many politicians that are there to not policy make. They're there to brand build because it's valuable. George Santos, I'm amused at his cameos and everything, and the times that he's like outing and actually, submitting ethics complaints against certain members of Congress. I actually think that's oddly funny. He might have a face turn coming in his career here if he brings people out, because that's someone who grifted and brand built and is now richer for it. McCarthy's going to do good. But that is what we have to fight against. We have to vote against. The apathy to not vote those folks out is because they don't want to policy make. And so all the solutions and all the conversations, that's why I don't even care about getting into the gun debate anymore, because it's true. If you come back to me and say, it's not just a gun problem, it's a gun problem, a mental health problem disguised as a gun problem. Great. Okay. Love that answer. Let's do it. Let's go with that.
Yep.
So what are we going to do with the mental health thing? Nothing. They don't want to do anything about it. They just want to say that to you. They just want to post that to you and then get on with their lives. There's no 100%. Desire.
Jared here, echoing what you're saying. Conservatives claim mental health when a school is riddled with bullets, but do their best to either mock the concept or keep it locked up behind paywalls. Yeah. If you said, I'm struggling right now, I really need some professional care, they'd call you a snowflake. And this is where we're at. The same people.
Yep.
They cause these contradictions that cannot coexist.
Yeah. And we got this new Star Wars in a Galaxy says New Zealand, one mass shooting like 8 years ago, they banned most guns. And yet something that comes up a lot, and because it's true. And then I'm for one who's like said the realistic thing is you can't round up guns here in this country. You can't put it all back in the box. The Pandora's box is open. And I almost said Panera's box, which is, we've got to talk about their iced lemonades that are killing people. And here's the thing. Actually, I stumbled on a joke. We're probably going to stop Panera's lemonades from killing people. 2 have died, I think, right? 2 lawsuits about it. We're going to make sure we stop that. I used to you talk about, you don't remember airports before 9/11. You also don't remember your grandma smoking in Denny's, or like me, you don't remember playing lawn jarts, which killed 1 person and got banned. That brings it up. That comes up all the time. But we're so tied to that identity, this strength, power, guns, 4x4 trucks, all those kind of things. And that's, again, a general sweep. I'm not saying anyone who has a lifted truck is an asshole, but this is our identity versus something like New Zealand and the reason thought out there too. See, now I'm down the point. See, we're trying to find hope, and now I'm hopeless.
Yeah, it's very frustrating though. The Panera thing rings true. I mean, the one that I think changed the national conversation forever, and I was only a toddler really, but you look at Columbine and you look at some of the pop cultural effects of Columbine, some of the conversations that were happening back then that you can read about, like, should Neo in the Matrix wear that long coat because it reminds us of Columbine? Should Sting be on WCW Nitro wearing a long leather duster in the wake of Columbine? And it's like, you guys think that's the fucking thing to worry about? You think what Sting is wearing when he fights Hulk Hogan is the actual issue here? That we shouldn't have iconography that reminds us that there are villains in this world rather than doing something about the villains in this world? Because they will, as Charlie points out here, they will always find the next thing. In the UK, but knife crime.
Right.
So unless you stop all crime.
Right. Here's what my friends always do. Do you know how many cars kill people? Yeah. And do you see what it takes to get a license?
We register those cars, and you have to have in some states you must have this type of insurance. Like, it doesn't hold, and we're not going to turn this to an episode on like constitutional interpretation and purism and things, but like it's a very common thing to say, and I agree with it. Like, they leave out the well-regulated part, they leave out the militia part, the tyranny, like, so it's all contextual. And how do we find hope in that? Honestly, righteous rebellion is a start. Like, seeing in the wake of what happened in South Florida. I mean, I was there. I just started. I was finishing up broadcasting school, and then I was going to start working at iHeart when everything happened at Stoneman Douglas. And these kids butchered. And the radio show I ended up working for did, I think, 2 extra live hours that day, and was just taking calls from parents. And it was just a really, really dark time down there to be so close to it. And there was no hope. But then suddenly, while it changed nothing about the pain, seeing the kids that went to that school become activists and march and demand, on national television that guys like Rubio stop taking NRA money and put him on the spot in a way that big reporters won't do.
Yeah.
I don't see Anderson doing it, asking about this in the wake of a shooting. And to get guys like that on the record, that does give me some hope that maybe by the time I'm, turning 58 instead of turning 28, that it will be different. It's like hope is almost like a down payment. like you have hope that it can change.
Yeah. And you guys have got some great comments coming in. And I want to pick up that point again. But Charlie Ashby saying the action between if I enter the U.S. with a gun, if I enter the U.S. with a Kinder egg is ridiculous. Yeah, you can't get certain Kinder eggs are banned. I didn't know this until I had to order them for a Screen Junkie show. And I was like, I can't get them here in America. They'd be contraband. We have those kind of things. I love this here, looking about the Hope Anyone New Studios from Jared has a great video called I Hate Mondays about the idea of conservative no-win game of regulating evil. These awful events are inevitable as Mondays. Great watch. Check it out. That makes me think of the Boomtown Rats song, I Don't Like Mondays, a popular new wave song that we used to play on the radio back in the 80s. It's actually about the Cleveland Elementary School shooting in San Diego a long time ago. So art has meaning, Bob Iger. Art has meaning. But to your point, I this week, it's like you go a little inside yourself, and that's okay. And I think that's the first thing. But then connecting to the big issues, connecting to the people around you, taking those moments, and then finding the areas where people are making a difference, and finding how much you want to get involved with that. Again, we have a show, we have a podcast. I guess maybe you could say we stop there, but I don't want to stop there. I'm not a policymaker, but can we be policy influencers? Can we influence the people around you? I look to that. That's why we at Force Center are always going to talk about Star Wars, about what we love about it, and what works for us. But we're also going to go deeper to what it means to our own lives, because it's inherently political, and politics are about how we come together and decide how to take care of the least of us and those in need. And I think that's where I go this week. And that's one side of hope. But the other side, and our generations live differently. I always joke about my elementary school, Alden, was a nuke's going to come and blow you up. So get under this desk for 30 seconds to practice when that happens. Yeah. That hung over our heads. That fueled Gen X's kind of, but then your generation and younger and old, from Columbine on, has lived with a different kind of hopelessness. And I think it's okay. We're not built for this, to slap us upside the head all the time. So it's okay. Maybe am I telling myself this? It's okay to just stay quiet for a little bit and not click on all the headlines some days, and just not take it all in.
Absolutely. I think the idea of synthesis is so important in the way that we consume things, the way that we watch things, the way that we make things. You brought up Star Wars, something that is inevitable with us. I'm literally wearing Star Wars merchandise right now on camera. It is so important for people to grasp the idea the ideas within the work, but also how they were presented is sort of what we're talking about. Like, it is political. It is about a broken trust in institutions. It is about the little guy being literally slaughtered. It is about all of these things for somebody that was a young man of those American graffiti days, realizing that the world maybe wasn't as picturesque as he thought it was. And where do I put this anger and this not understanding? How do I teach kids about what I'm feeling as I figure it out? Oh, let me synthesize it with something that is fun, light, zip, zooms, kablam, punch, Peter Parker, Wizard of Oz, all these things that I can combine, give it that Flash Gordon coat of paint, and suddenly I'm able to understand it. I'm able to do something with it, and it becomes Star Wars. And so I think that there is that value in sort of being able to say, I need these things, these movies, these songs to help me get through the day, so I can have the mental fuel to fight the fight that I need to fight. So I can present the ideas in ways that matter. You know, it's important that everybody understands that there is sort of a gateway conversation. You know, we'll talk about Barbie at the end of this when we get to our pop rock and lyrics. But there was a great tweet that I saw, and I should have screenshotted it. It was a few weeks ago to credit this person, but someone said, "Is the Barbie film?" This was, for the record, a feminist literature critic who really knows what they're talking about infinitely more than I do. Is Barbie a sort of like easy sort of feminism 101? Like, does it feel a little young? Does it feel a little this? Sure. But also, don't we want that audience to take that step? And isn't that important? And so when the world is crumbling, if you can give somebody a little bit of that, that is also fun and has a musical number and is hilarious and adorable, why won't you? That doesn't mean you don't care. You know, I've seen right now a great example is a friend of mine and someone that Star Wars people know, Daniel Jose Older, been using his platform to talk so much and share so much about what's happening in Gaza. When he shares news about what he's doing in Star Wars, that doesn't mean he doesn't care about the former. It just means that to be a complete person, you've got to take a break. It can't always be symphonies of pain. It also has to be pop sometimes.
I love that song. That leads me to the next thing, is where I have to confess that I've changed a little bit. For those that follow me, I'm not super active on social, meaning I'll promote my stuff. I don't respond a lot anymore. I used to. A lot of reasons for that. Also, I just look back at my Facebook memories every day and go, why did I post that 15 years ago? I posted that I had a Twinkie. That was it. No thought, no poignancy, just had Twinkie. Like, I hate that shit. So I changed a lot. But one of the things I used to, when an event happens, a newsworthy event, let's just say this tragedy this week at UNLV, 3 people lost their lives. I would basically drop my phone for 4 or 5 days. I'm not going to go on. I'll watch the news. I'll poke in. And I'm not going to post anything. And if other people did, I'd take a mental note and kind of be offended in a weird clutch my pearls way. I've let that go. And even I'm making the jokes about 20 minutes later, you're posting, because I realize that's how we're all kind of processing this. We're not built for the 24-second news cycle. You mentioned Columbine. I watched that unfold live on the news, living in LA, going to my job that night at 7. I watched it unfold live. And we didn't stop talking about it for 2 months on the news, right? It led the stories until other things happened, but it was a story for 2 months. And we just don't have time. That's not how it works anymore. So therefore, our minds are just turning to mush with this stuff. So I realize now, seeing the shooting happen at UNLV and then posting about that Twinkie 20 minutes later is actually probably more healthy than just completely dropping out of things. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do, and that's okay. But you know what I mean? And I don't know, you're younger, and we make those old young jokes, but I think your wiring is not to say processing it better than mine or worse than mine, but it's a different way, because so much information has been coming at you since you were born.
Absolutely. I mean, should we have ended up like this? I would argue perhaps not, but we did. And so there is that conditioning where, yesterday, I had to work late at the day job, and I was just not feeling it. I was having a really depressed evening. but I got home and I just listened to the score of the last 15 minutes of ET,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had a good cry, and I was just like, man, movies, baby. Movies will always get us to the next day. And there is that balance. You need to be able to control your mental bandwidth, because it's very therapy 101, very Pinterest,
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook mom post, but you can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself. And that
Okay.
is true.
Yeah. Yeah, and it just was on my mind this week, and no one, we're not experts here. And as we move into 2024 and bring guests on and experts on, this is something I would love to talk about more. But it just was on my mind this week because I sat down to write the news. And here's a little, I guess not confession, but the path to this process. As some people still remember, not as many remember, but I used to do the movie news on the Schmoes No Show, and it was fun. And that came out of because I used to do it on the radio in the 90s. I used to do music and sports news in the same fashion, and I loved it. And it's reporting the news. I report the news first, and then I work in a joke after. The jokes never come first. It's always news first. And I loved it. And I stopped doing it because I just didn't care about movie news as much anymore. Schmoes weren't a thing anymore. And people for years have been asking, oh, I wish you do the news. I wish you do the news. In my head, I was like, I'd love to do it on the world, politics, world events, news. That'd be kind of fun because I've always wanted to be on Weekend Update, right? That was my childhood dream. And then when I started to do it, I was getting it set up. I even had like a Twitter page. It was going to be called Your Week Ahead, and we kind of have a segment based on it. An event happened, a shooting happened, and a police shooting incident happened, if I remember. And I remember thinking, I can't joke about this. I can't even talk about this. And I never did it. That was like 6-7 years ago until now. And this week it was a reminder. I was like, oh, here we are again. We got a shooting, a headline grabbing shooting. Yes, there's shootings every day. I know, but this one is a headline grabber. I can't just make jokes about George Santos. So I wanted to run away. And that's when I was texting you, like, I got nothing for this week. And that was when I was like, I need to find how to push through because we all need to find a way to push through. And I don't have the answers. I'm just saying I'm here with you all pushing. Alden, I'm grabbing your hand. Let's push through.
No, absolutely. That's all we can do is togetherness and understand that we're constantly living in unprecedented times. That's a big joke of people in my age group. I'm tired of living in unprecedented times. I would fucking love to live in a precedented time for once. Constant war. I've never lived in a time without a war, which is true for many people. The surveillance state, the rise of fascism, all these things. But we are not alone, which is such a generic thing to say, but it's such a true thing to say. If you can text one person, even with like a frowning emoji, then you exist, and they will understand that. It's important to keep your circles tight and to understand that people have different ways of processing things is so key. That's a big thing too. If you have a friend that hasn't been posting about world issues, you don't know what the hell could be going on with them. That moment of opening up an app could be their only downtime. It could be their only opportunity of like, I just want to watch like an animals video. I just want to watch a Star Wars thing, whatever it is. Just have a little bit of that empathy and understand that people are fighting their own battles, and using their own methodologies. It's like in the wake of a lot of comedians like Chappelle sort of choosing the path, the quick and easy path, as it were, toward rage. There was a lot of pushback on comedy, which I'm sure you have 1,000 opinions on, and as do your peers, of comedians think that they are, this is righteous, brave thing. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, at its best, it kind of is. Like at its best, when you are a Colbert or somebody on that level that does go out and make the joke the day after something like this happens, that way people that tune in can have a moment at the end of their day of a smile is huge and very important and brave.
I always say just when bad things happen, the first kind of thing to return that you want to return is laughter. I have a story on YouTube about it, and then I'm turning it into a stand-up bit now. I'm trying to work on it. It's important, and so that's why I do like just silly things, and I love pratfalls, and I'll watch a silly movie too. But it's interesting, we can go down the path, and I still want to have the conversation in the early part of next year about comedy. There's a lot of opinions, and I have some opinions. I'm always going to try to give comedians the benefit of the doubt because I know what they're doing. I know the vibe in a club is different than a TikTok video. I know what they're trying to do, but I just think, there's a boundary pushing that misunderstands what Lenny Bruce and Pryor and Carlin did. That happens, and that's a different conversation. But laughter is important, hope, and you said something, empathy. We keep coming back to that here. This show could be empathy with Ken and Alden. I fail at it all the time, empathy, compassion. But you said it about, and I see like Michael McCarcel in chat. I'm going to bring up his comment. I do keep up with the news, but I truly don't have the bandwidth to post about it. I just can't. And that is okay. And that is me having an empathetic position from Michael's point of view on it. And I had that too. I was silent for a lot. I was part of that podcast, movie podcast, where it was like, we just talk about Batman. We just talk about Batman. We're here for Batman. And then I realized how irresponsible that was becoming, how that might have worked in 1997. Might have worked in 2007, but it no longer worked for what was going on around us. But there's some value in that, having empathy for the fight that other people are going through, and knowing that it's okay. That's a good place to start. And checking in with folks. I try to check in with you. It should be better. But this week, with the world feeling a lot of pain, I did my rounds of text to some of my friends. Hey, man, how you doing? Just checking on you. I think you're great. I think that's important too. See the pain and remind yourself to connect with those around you that need it, because we never know when pain's going to strike us. Absolutely.
And sometimes the idea that we're being thought about is what can get you to the next day, can get someone to the next day, a connection sort of reforged, even if things change, even if relationships are altered or even hurt. That, hey, I just want you to know I was thinking about you. You don't want to live with regret. Like, regret is the most poisonous thing. There is nothing more painful to me personally than the feeling of, I should have done this instead, or I should have said what I had to say when I needed to say it.
Yeah.
That's real pain. And if you can avoid that, it'll help. And, if you do that round of texts, that will help you get through these times, because maybe somebody that you used to be close with can tap into a feeling of when things were different, and you get to return there for even a little bit. And that's helpful.
Yeah, the news is going to go on. The cycle is going to continue, as the prophet Billy Joel once sang, "We didn't start the fire. The world was burning." Man, it's just what it's going to be. And this was a reminder this week to seek out those around you, seek the little things, and include it. Like, what my little joy this week was? And you share your little joy. My little joy this week was Hawaiian rolls with some plant-based avocado oil butter. It's just my favorite snack. Is it healthy? No, but I just needed to turn to bread. I needed to turn to bread. You said it last week. I love holdable foods, Alden. And that was my joy this week.
Oh man, a little joy this week. I touched on it a little bit earlier with my thing about listening to the ET score, but last night I texted some of my closest friends in a group chat that we have that is constantly active. And I said, guys, what's your favorite piece of orchestral score music from a movie that is not Star Wars? And we were talking about Pirates of the Caribbean and Tron Legacy and Gettysburg and just like all these movies that have incredible music, and being able to just throw those tracks and say, I remember where I was when I heard this. Oh, this takes me back to this place. Like I listened to the score from Lincoln last night, and I remembered I listened to our American history teacher, Miss Lemon, who actually passed away. One of the greatest teachers I've ever had. She said, this Friday after school, if anybody wants to walk to the theater down the road with me, I'm going to see Lincoln. And the entire class went with her.
That's great.
And it was the coolest thing that a teacher was like, let's put down the book and watch a movie, baby. And that was a really good thing to return to. I do want to pull up this comment before we move on, though, because it just cracked me up. We'll get to this more when we touch on comedy, and Ken's going to have to bring in some experts. But this right here, Daniel Tosh having a more evolved take on the nature of comedy than Dave fucking Chappelle isn't fair. It's not fair. No, it's not.
No, and I used to watch Tosh.0. I can't deny that. I used to laugh at things that maybe I even shouldn't have. But yeah, that's interesting. Even Jeselnik had some great stuff. I don't ever consider him being super problematic, but he had some truths I thought that were out there last week. Yeah, bigger conversation to have. But I also love Charlie Ashby showing his age. The 90s Mommy soundtrack. I love that. That's a great question. My Last Mohicans and Glory come to mind of scores. Glory, one of my favorite movies, but James Horner's score is just amazing. Just amazing.
Glory's fantastic. Our 8th grade history teacher threw on a double feature. It took all week because you've only got those class periods. It was Glory and Amistad back to back.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, this is how I want to learn everything. And then of course you understand as you get older, these are movies. But yeah.
Glory's relatively accurate. It's funny, my 8th grade teacher, he was a Civil War reenactor. He was one of those. He was one of those guys. So he came in full costume and we shot the musket outside. Every year he got permission from the school and the local Pismo Beach police, and every year he'd go out there and fire the musket. And we watched Glory, man. And give him hell 54. Give him hell 54. There you go. Yeah, I think Star Wars Galaxy says I watched Glory in 7th grade. I think it's the junior high movie. Well, look, this segment wasn't about solving anything. It was just about sharing where we are. Both of you and I have had some struggles this week, and the news doesn't help. So wherever you are out there in the world right now, whatever position you're in, hey, if you can't seek hope yourself, maybe someone can help you. But if not, take a small joy for yourself, and we're hoping for the best for all of us here. That's all we can do.
Absolutely. If you can't run anymore, you crawl. And when you can't do that, you find someone to carry you.
There you go. Now we're going to move on as we start to round up the show. But we've got our quickfire entertainment stories and a lot to get to. Alden, what do you got?
SAG-AFTRA. Ever heard of them? They kind of had a big year.
Dominated.
They just ratified their vote, which is a big yay. And then you look at the numbers and you're like, really?
Really?
So I got them here exactly down to the decimal points. The vote was 78.33% to 21.67%. With a turnout of only 38.15? And why? What happened?
Apathy, and among other reasons. And this goes to all other votes as well, keeping out the voter disenfranchisement is what I try to say. Keeping out gerrymandering and those kind of problems that are out there in the voting world as well. Let's take that and put that on a special shelf. But in general, apathy, at least today. And I had conversations with a lot of my friends. I'm surrounded by SAG-AFTRA members. Live with one. I'm SAG eligible, so I couldn't vote, but it affects my life. It affected my Star Wars podcast, which affected my income. Right? Not been a great year for Kenny over here, but it was the right thing to do. And no one's heroes for doing any of that, us included at Force Center. Just the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, I was talking to a lot of friends, and I had a lot of friends who were thinking, I think knows the answer. And I had that thought of like, well, Force Center came back for 2 weeks, and now we're going to have to go away again. No was the answer for a lot of folks. I think there were some reasoned takes out there on why to vote yes. I like Bryan Cranston's that he put out, and a lot of people put it out. It wasn't just, hey, we need to get back to work. It was like, hey, the issues of AI might not be perfect in this contract, but we got 3 years to watch it. We got 3 years to see this play out, and now it's an issue on paper. Now we can point to it the next time. Just like streaming rights in 2007, that stuff wasn't on paper. Now it is, and it can become an issue. So I think that kind of maybe helped the vote yes. As far as people not voting at all, I think it's just human nature, and it's scary. It's scary how small the percentage of votes are in big elections. Grandma Bobo, Lauren Boebert, won her election by 500 votes. Craziness. That's why voting is important. It is easy to get overwhelmed and think in the politics of it all that nothing matters, but it is important. You're affecting your policy making when you go in that booth, and this policy was made. And I think at the end of the day, people just shrugged their shoulders. They just went through this real tough strike that destroyed lives, absolutely destroyed careers and lives. And I think that's what it leads to. Let's just kind of get it over with, was the thought I thought.
Absolutely. So we will have our Anytime lawyers look over that deal in full and get us a full brief by next episode. But there is an actor who, whether he voted or not, we do not know, but he might be leaving altogether, and that is Nicolas Cage. Says he's almost done with movies. I love this man. And to be clear, he did later clarify and say that his son made him watch Breaking Bad and that now he wants to do TV. So I don't think he's retiring. But he said, I may have 3 or 4 movies left in me. I do feel I've said what I have to say with cinema. I think I took film performance as far as I could. I do want to get much more severe and stringent in my selection process. I want to say bye on a high note. I become increasingly obsessed with people retiring and leaving the thing that they do. Tarantino has one more movie. He's stuck by that pretty vehemently. Wrestlers never do it, so it's not worth bringing them up. They always come back. But when musicians and actors and things say I'm done, I'm fascinated by that, because I think when you're like, because I'm in my 20s, everything is like I want to do. And so when you see people say I don't want to do anymore, that's fascinating to me.
That's an interesting point. First of all, Nick Cage, what a career, and what an up and down ride that's been with him. And I like where he is right now, even though I don't watch Elvis movies. You're the lawyer around these parts, Anytime lawyer. Is that it? No?
Yeah.
Kingsport Cow, my buddy from Kingsport, Tennessee, says Cage is an example of someone getting their flowers while they are alive. I like this. This is big. We were talking about Norman Lear on 20 Minutes of Coffee on this channel, and Cal was in chat there saying, it's a bummer when people die and then they hear how great they are and they're not around for it unless you think Norman Lear's on. We can talk about Lear in a second because I think it's an interesting conversation. I'm fascinated with your fascination with it, Alden. And it might be a younger person's thing, but I was a little obsessed with leaving things when I was young. I have a habit of wanting to walk away because of self-loathing. So I retire a lot. I always joke, retired from stand-up comedy 3 or 4 times, told friends I'm never doing it again. And that was true at the time, but then I had to come back. I believe Cage. I believe Tarantino, but I'm going to also believe them when it's time to come back. I think you should work for as long as you want to and as long as you can. Norman Lear passed away at 101 and was still EPing shows that were coming out. Still working his ass off. Mel Brooks still going strong. Carl Reiner was until the end. Like I think as long as you can still be creative or still work. I tell this to my mom, who just turned 75 this week. She has I inherited a little bit of that self-loathing thing from her, and she teaches exercise classes. She's in a solid shape for where she is and for her age, and she should celebrate that. But she always, I'm just ready to quit. And it's just like, don't stop. But that's an old man's game, Alden. You keep going. You don't worry about quitting yet.
Yeah, no, I again, it's like everything seems so far down the road that when people look back, it resonates with me. It makes me emotional. I love endings. Part 3 is usually my favorite part of any trilogy. I love looking back on things. I love nostalgia. No one tell Screen Rant that I said something about nostalgia or any of those websites. But I am fascinated by it. I mean, I just watched Timeless Heroes, Harrison and Indy, or Indy and Harrison. I forget.
I still have to watch that.
Oh, you're gonna cry. You're going to cry your ass off. It is so well made. There are moments of that entire crew: George, Kathleen Kennedy, Frank Marshall, Ke Kwan, everybody, Kate Capshaw, all talking about Harrison, but also looking back. And there's a moment where Kathleen Kennedy's voice kind of breaks, and she says, "I met my husband on that film," and I started bawling. Like I had a wife of 50 years. Like
I do that sometimes.
Crazy. Like you impart yourself on these people. It's parasocial. And we got to the dark side of that last week when we were talking about CM Punk. But when you look at like Nick Cage saying, "I'm done," suddenly every single Nick Cage memory of watching his stuff rushes through your head, and you're like, oh man, something that is no longer, but by choice. It's not that he is gonna die. It's that he's saying, I think I've said everything I have to say. And I think I am fascinated by the zenness that it must take to be like, I'm good.
Yeah. There's a lyric I like from Noah and the Whale, one of my favorite bands. They're not active anymore, but it's on the last night of my life, I'd pay a good price to be done with my life. I think I'm missing a line there. And I've always loved that lyric. That's a good spot to be to you say you love endings, to try to understand endings, because it's easy to see Gene Hackman riding a bicycle in New Mexico going, I'm done with acting, and you understand it. He's like 90, like you got it. You've done it all. Sometimes you just get tired, right? This week, you and I joked off air. This is our 4th episode of Anytime, and it was a tough week. You and I both didn't touch the format till late last night, and this is one of those weeks where I'm like, maybe we just don't do a show but that's how, number one, how shows die, and two, how you turn that corner to actually do this for a living. And that's just a reality. It's not me patting myself on the back for doing a show today, but just going, no, either you do or you don't. And I'm not done yet, right? We're not done yet. So if you're done, I think it's okay. And you don't owe it to anyone. Barry Sanders walking away from football, still one of the greatest mysteries. And there's a great doc out now that you all should watch if you're sports fans or just want to focus on someone who was ready to walk away at the height of what they were doing and be happy with it and never regret it. It's an interesting case study in endings.
Absolutely. So we'll talk more about that and hopefully report on whatever Nick Cage does next. Last two things I wanted to mention: Larian Studios, Larian Studios, Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year last night at the 10th Annual Game Awards in Los Angeles. I'm currently playing it, and Ken, this game, I spent 19 hours in the starting area. It is an experience so detailed that I think if you started playing it, it might actually like be detrimental to like your household. Like it's so like I don't know if you ever played Dungeons and Dragons. I know you've dipped your toe in a tabletop before.
Alden, I'm not a Satanist, okay? I don't play Dungeons and Dragons.
That's so true. I didn't think about you trying to get that into your house.
This is my you know the story, but this is my brag. I've played Dungeons and Dragons once. The late great Grant Imahara was my partner. Matt Mercer was the DM. Marisha Ray was at the table. Brittany and Matt Key, Brittany Wallach, Matt Key. That's the only time in my life I played Dungeons and Dragons. And you know what? That was good. I retired on that. That's what I knew I had to walk away.
And honestly, dude, like you said Mercer and Grant and all those people were there. Like the comment section are going to be like, whoa. Like I know we've got some RPG show critical and D20 fans out there. And I mean, it is one of those things, Ken, where like, example, you can play the whole game just kicking ass, right? With a sword. But if you play the game and you cast the spell Speak with Animals, every fucking animal in the game has something to say. But you can play the whole game without knowing that. And
this is the game. It's got screwing, right? It's got biblical laying. Like you can screw openly in this game. Is this what I'm hearing?
So much screwing. But you don't have to.
What's the button control for this?
Do
you hammer on the circle square? What do you do?
See, but here's where it's gonna you joke, but it's actually nerdier than that. You use your controller to roll a digital die. So you would have to hit, some sort of like a persuasion check above a 15 or something like that.
Yeah, that's right, because it's you got to roll. Okay, I got it. Roll. If you roll a natural 20, your partner has an orgasm. Is that how you play it? Is that what it is?
Look, I think that's in the next update, but yeah, that's the idea.
When you're playing the game, could you clip out the sex and just send it to me? I just want to see. It's just for posterity's sake.
Yeah, I even walked in on 2 NPCs doing the do. It was great.
I have no problem. Weird, I'm giggling like a schoolboy, Dr. Elsha Snyder there. But look, Red Dead Redemption 2, you controlled how you took a bath. So I actually love this stuff.
It is that level of depth. And if you ever wanted to join a party, we'd be more than lucky to have you, and very, very glad to see you there. Last thing, Ryan Reynolds had to comment on people constantly leaking set photos from Deadpool 3. I hate leakers. You hate leakers. I literally just put this in the rundown so I could establish on this news show anytime it's still a baby toddler show. This is an anti-leak program. And I just wanted to throw that out there. Ryan Reynolds, as the star and producer, should not have to waste his time saying anything about it when he's just trying to do his job. He is Ryan Reynolds. He's a comedy guy. So he ended up having some fun with it and putting out some fake ones of his own. Great. But part of his quote here: surprise is a part of the magic of theatrical movies. It's making, it's built for audience joy. This is creating a difficult situation for everyone. He acknowledges that it's part of a good problems bucket. It's not the end of the world, but it's like there are people out there trying to make things. Stop making it about you. That's my only point with this. There's this conversation around the leaker thing that maybe we can have with nuance, but we have to be honest about our perspective. We don't like it. And having information about upcoming projects, and again, I saw some of Reynolds' social stuff this week where he's like, "Hey, Deadpool began with a leak." You could argue to what degree was that a leak versus intentional leak. Who knows? They'll be cheeky on that to the end.
But it's just part of going to our conversation, the big conversation today of too much information and too much, and how do we process it? I don't want to be wistful for the good old days, because the good old days were generally a lie anyways, and it's important to move forward. So you have to live in the now, and I think you've watched people like Ryan Reynolds navigate it in a great way. But it's frustrating. It is people bartering and trading in information they don't deserve, and getting jobs in at like hospitals with parking structures that overlook the Mando 1 set, and being allowed to sneak out there and take photos and stuff like that. Like, it can be titillating and fun, but it just speaks to a bigger problem. So maybe we can't solve that today, but I'm with you. I just don't like it. And I'm just on the fun side of it. So forget the morality of it. We can talk about this some other time. And again, you and I have to be honest. We're never going to be convinced that it's a good thing. At best, it's a thing, but the fun part of it, I'll go to wrestling, man. As we often do here. I'm glad that there's a kind of legit news side to the wrestling business now. A lot of the folks that cover it legitimately, that it gets some coverage. I don't love the post-event press conference ideas, but they're also interesting at times, and they can be used to further your storylines, and also just used to. And I'm not saying I want Jim Cornette kayfabe walls up where the villains, the heels, have to drive in separate cars from the faces. I don't. We're never going to get back to that. Kayfabe broke long before people knew it broke, anyways. But it's a real bummer, man, when people are like, we're so-and-so is reporting that, blankety blank Boots McGee has signed a contract and is returning to WWE. He's going to debut in a surprise event at Survivor Series. Great. Well, I'm not watching now. I have stopped watching wrestling because I don't feel I need to. I get it on social posts, and the fun of it's gone. The fun of it's gone. That's one of the big conversations I have with leagues.
Absolutely. And there are jobs. People's livelihoods involve rollouts. There were people that were, if it's for a wrestler return, there are people that are handling merch. There are people that are handling social. There are people that are handling the actual in the arena production. There are people that are driving them in buses, so it remains a secret. On games, the Grand Theft Auto trailer leaked a day early. And it's like there were whole staff members that were, part of this planned unveiling that was supposed to happen the next day, and you put it out in your 480p, just for your fucking retweets. Like, what is wrong with you?
And here's part of, sorry, I'm cutting you off here. Now you made me more passionate about this than I thought. One of the things that bothers me about it is, it'd be one thing if people look at it and go, oh, new trailer, oh, the game's coming out, great. But then people then form opinions on it, often negative, use that for rage clicking. This happens in Star Wars, this happens in Game of Thrones, anything like that. And forget now the fun aspect, but it's like, again, it's what you do with it. Like, we can't change how we get our news every 24 seconds. We can't. But then what people do with it drives me crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Respect your artists. And so that's everything I got here for the entertainment sort of quick fire stories. Just, we had a really heavy top half. So don't mean to end the entertainment on a bitter note, but play Baldur's Gate 3, read Deadpool comics, have fun.
I have a real heavy top half too, Alden. It's okay. It's okay. Yes, we have a little time coming up here shortly. If you have a direct audience Q&A session is what we got going on. If you have a super chat you want to give us and ask us a question or just want to join the conversation, we'll do a little time here after that. But we do want to do our segment, Your Week Ahead, which I still think you can find on Twitter. Your Week Ahead. I still think the Twitter handle I had for a show I was going to launch in 2014 and didn't. It's still there, I think. But Your Week Ahead, we're going to try to predict this week's news headlines. I always say every week, I'm trying to predict when Ron DeSantis will drop out of the presidential race. I don't know if he is yet. I don't know if he is. And I don't think if Vivek's not going to go, I think the four on that stage are going to stick. So I think that's my prediction. They'll still be in this position next week. But you have a very important headline to predict, Alden, and it revolves and evolves and is evolved from your birthday. That's all the words I want to say.
Yes, the headline. Alden will hate being 28 as much as he's hated being 27, which is both part of this segment and a mini conversation. It's my birthday tomorrow at the time of this recording. If you're watching live, it's tomorrow. If you're watching after the fact, it's already happened or is happening. turning 28,
Yeah.
firmly in the depths of my late 20s. 27 kind of sucked, and I feel like none of these birthdays have had a feel since
Yeah.
18. There hasn't
Yep.
been like maybe
You've
30
been
will.
you've been numb?
Yeah, I don't think I think birthday milestone birthdays are largely gone. I've been told 30 is a big one. I've been
30's
told
huge.
40 feels kind of like 30, but like more refined.
Yeah. Look, first of all, your birthday at the time this episode airing is tomorrow, and you're
Mhm.
gonna turn 28. And number one, we need to point out that you have passed the rock and roll death age. You have
Yes,
passed 27. You
that's
you
true.
you so you got to congratulate yourself for that. All right. And it's a golden age, but I don't think things get really good until your 30s. And I freaked out. Now the old man gray beard wisdom's coming in. I freaked out, Alden. 30 was tough for me.
Mm.
30 is a big number, man. And especially society for a long time was like, cool, you have your shit together, right? You're 30 now. And it's good to have your shit together at any age, but that's not it's not what we thought it was, where all that my life has ended. Getting your shit together does not mean your life has ended. And I worked through that, had a great 30s, became someone I'm very proud of around 35, grew up a lot. And then 40 absolutely wrecked me. 40, my hands were shaking about 40. I
Wow.
did not know what to do. And old Knapsack Files listeners, there's a podcast where like Mark Riley, Roger Craig Smith, and I think Joseph Scrimshaw and some other folks where I talked about 40 because I just was like, please tell me, am I going to die? Like, what happens? So you've got some big ones in front of you, but you got a great age.
Yeah, I think my biggest thing right now is I want to pack 28 and 29 with as many adventures as I can. I think I've had my 20s have been a little bit too grandpa. I haven't like I want to be able to say, God, my 20s, I was out there like, and I don't want to overcompensate and go get myself
What do you mean
killed.
out there? Yeah, what do you mean out there? Clubbing all night? You want to
I
do
mean,
cocaine
clubbing,
off the chest of sex workers? Like, what do you want to do here?
there's an argument to be made for that. That could be
You've been
interesting.
playing
No,
too
but
much Baldur 3. That's what I do.
I want to live Baldur's Gate 3. I want to go LARP. I want to go do Civil War reenactments with your old teacher.
There you go.
Yeah, I want to get
Lightning.
out there. I want to. I want to have more evenings where I don't know what's going to happen.
Those
In
are great.
some way.
Okay, but here's the thing. I was a repressed, quiet, shy kid.
Mhm.
Hit town again. Wouldn't even. Someone showed me a 20-sided die. I'd be like, "Get thee away, Satan." I didn't have alcohol. And by the way, if no one wants to drink, drinking's not necessary. I didn't drink till I was 26. I didn't have sex till I was 28. The bit that I do in my stand-up act is true. That's not all that living is cracked up to be, those two things. But those nights you're talking about where you feel infinite, the perks of the wallflower conversation,
Yes.
did not happen for me till my 30s.
Mm.
And you've had some good nights. I've been in London with you. I've been in Anaheim with you. Don't tell me you haven't partied till the sun's come up.
Oh, yeah.
But that feeling, that's still in front of you. That's the gift I'll give you.
Yeah, and I think the journey from 28 to 29 will be very profound because 29 is when my mom had me. And I
Mhm.
think when you have ages that sync up with your parents, either you hear some happy ones like I'm
Mhm.
now as old as when my parent did this, or you hear some sad ones is like I'm now older than my father ever was. Like you hear that
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
any variation of that. So my mom had me at 29, so it's like the journey from 28 to 29 is like feels very mythic and universal, and I got some
Yeah.
people here that really want some attention. Come to West Los Angeles. Come to Pittsburgh. I will. Don't worry. I'll visit
Look,
y'all.
look,
I'm if I go to Los Angeles, I'm never leaving. I just want you to know.
I'm not going to allow you to go party with Yinzers on your 30th birthday in Pittsburgh. No, absolutely not. Okay. Sorry, Jared. And Jerry, the Gatta Juggy. I was 30 before I had a drink. I love that. Jerry, next time we're around each other convention, let's have a late to the party drink. No, the numbers are huge, man. And that kind of stuff does mess with you. Growing up a baseball fan and a sports fan, hearing that players, and now they retire a little older, but hearing a player retire at 33, that to me meant, oh, you're done. The Beatles did Sgt. Pepper at 26, 27. I'm done. If I haven't figured that out by then, I'm done. And that's part of the pressure society puts on us. And we have it pretty easy compared to other people, but it's still a pressure. But no, I'm approaching the age my parents were when I moved out of the house and moved to LA. I'm like a couple years away from that.
Yeah.
That's blowing my mind too. But it's
Yeah.
look, you're never too old to start rocking, and put a pin in that. I got something for that in a second, but I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you. It's a good age. 28's a good age.
I'm excited too. I think it's going to be a year full of change, a year full of growth.
Mhm.
I'm excited to ring it in with, I don't know, Star Wars. That's something. That's the thing, is that like you're like, what are your plans for your birthday? And it's like, I don't know, I might go see Godzilla or something. Like
Look, my 30th had a big party in my backyard of the house. My 40th got a hotel lobby bar at a local Studio City hotel, and a bunch of my friends out. It was great. I loved all that. But you know what? One of my favorite birthdays, I showed up at work and I drove around the back of a security vehicle while I read a magazine and had like a Slurpee, like with a friend. Like, it doesn't matter, right? My best Christmas, outside the ones that I spend with Grace and my dogs, the best Christmas I had was 2010, when I spent the day alone eating Carl's Jr. playing Red Dead 1. Like, it's all relative.
Yeah, the right plan is about the moment. You know, it might not be the right plan a different year, but it was the right plan that year.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to some questions. But first, we got a commercial, because I said, Alden, earlier, it's never too late to start rocking. And proof of that is the musical project, the band I'm in. That's right. The Moonagers. We had a song released in November called Tell Me, Tell Me. That was just a single for this. And here's some information on what is coming your way next.
I love sad bastard music. I don't even know what that specifically means.
It is coming, my friends. Our 7-song EP, Broken Pieces and What Remains. We worked hard on this over the last year. I'm so proud of it. Of all the things I've done in my career, working with Brian Tiller and Sean Arnold on these 7 songs and more. Oh, we're not done. It's been great. And it's proof that it's never too late to start rocking and to chase your dreams. So there you go. All right, let's get to some questions, Alden, if people have them. Super chat's always welcome to help the show grow, help keep the show alive, but not necessary to join the conversation. So now directly, it's our anytime Q&A, Alden. Anything pop up yet? Anything yet? I'm waiting for Jared to ask a question.
This is not a question, but I love bros have a playlist called Sad Bastard Sing-Alongs. Half of it's no acoustic. Yeah, I enjoy that.
Ben, you're gonna really love what we got. I'm really proud of this stuff, but there's a song on there. I'll tell you, it's called "Good to Bleed." I'm not gonna go into, but I got out of the shower, so there's a picture for you. And this lyric came to me, and I texted Brian Tiller, who's here in chat. I said, "Dude, what if we wrote intentionally the saddest, like dumbest song? Like, let's just be sad boys." And here's this pathetic lyric to start the song. And he goes, "Okay." And he sent me back almost immediately this over 5-minute piece of music, acoustic guitar stuff. And I went, "Oh, this isn't a joke song anymore. This is," and I wrote some of the darkest things I've ever written. And I think, Ben, you're going to love it.
Oh, I love that. I'm so excited. I love, again, like you said about it not being too late, I love that you're doing this project now, on the other side of a wrestling career, a comedy career, security career, broadcast career. It's like one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing. All right, we got a question coming in. We got a question from Kingsport Cal, who is one of my favorite people. But Kingsport Cal occasionally will say some things where you have to almost like write him, send him a letter and say, "Dear sir." We don't say that around here, but I love Kingsport Cal. He's been a fan for years. Ken, how do you feel about personal grooming? Has Grace taught you anything about skincare? Yes. And Trey follows up with skincare, because I've talked about this before. And this is where I can give you, Alden, as a younger man, some advice. Get a skincare routine going. All right, get a skincare routine. Has Grace taught me some stuff? Yes, but she's always teaching me things in life. But this has been me for a long time. Now that Manscaped's popular, right? You can get the Manscaped get 15% off. Use our promo code ANYBALLS, like that thing. I'm 27 years ahead of that, if you know what I mean. The telephone pole in my backyard has not had shrubs around it for a long time. And I also, worked and wanted to be in pro wrestling. No one's above shaving chests there. I don't do that that's a lot of work. So personal grooming, manscaping, if you want to go that gendered way I look at it, is something that's very important to me. But skincare became more important over the years. People will shake my hands. Look at those hands, Alden. These aren't the hands of a carpenter.
No,
like Harrison Ford or Jesus. These are the hands of a poet, and people shake my hands. I had this at the Comedy Store recently. I was hanging out with Mark Ellis, as I often do, and one of the girls working the door. It was a great comic, Jessica. Mark introduces us, and I shake her hand, and she goes like this. She goes, "Holy shit!" Because your hands are so soft. People outside of the American Comedy Club in 2022, I did a show. And this is the year I wore my white denim jacket and my white denim jeans just to make a point. And I come out of the show, and this girl's like, "I loved your set. I loved your set." She had a little bit of drinks. She had a little of those Jerry the Cannon Junkie drinks in her. And she was like, I loved your set. I hate your jacket, but I love your skin. And and Grace was right there. And she was doing this to my face. She's like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." So skincare, a routine. Alden, start now if you haven't.
Incredible. I will say I've had periods where I've been better about it than I am now. I definitely fell off for the last couple of years where now I'm just back to generic, I wash my face and I move on with my life. But there was a period where I had someone in my life who was, showing me the masks, showing me the exfoliation, showing me the special scrubs, and that stuff does make you feel good. And much like you, these are not the hands that have ever done hard work. These are the hands of somebody that has only ever raised the pots on a board and tweeted some aggressive.
These are podcasting hands.
Oh, absolutely. It's just you talk to go talk to your friends that have the hardest jobs or the most labor intensive. See, Kingsburg Cal, get you some cocoa butter. This Kingsburg Cal, let us know a brand, and I will definitely bring it up here. This one really quick because I don't have much to say about it. I just throw it up here from Jared. Not to Star Wars it up. Any thoughts on the new holiday special, Doc? I haven't seen it. It was surprisingly sweet and not piss takey. So, that's good.
I'm gonna watch it now. Jared, you bring up a great question. So some friends of mine, Bonnie Burton's in it, who's a great personality in these parts, and she's wonderful. Bonnie's great.
Ash is in it.
Is Ash in it too? Okay, great. And I have some opinions and some of the other names involved. That's all I'll say. But when the trailer came out, we covered it on Force Center, and we all three of us, Joseph, Jennifer, and Joseph and Jennifer, they love the holiday special, and I do too. But Jennifer years ago on Force Center did episodes about it that are wonderful. You should check it out. We didn't like the tone of the trailer. We read it as piss takey, and so I think that caused me to not be interested in it. But Jared, I trust your thoughts on Star Wars a lot, so that's going to cause me to look into it.
Very, very excited to check it out, and we will talk about it at some point. We haven't done it yet because we're only 4 episodes in, but at some point we'll do some sort of monthly or biweekly, what we've watched, type thing. I could read my Letterboxd reviews on air or something. I can't give away my cocoa butter secrets. Yeah, I respect that. Let's see here. Which question here did you want to go to? We got
sure. Next up, we'll keep quick video game talk. 898 forums. Did you all talk about the GTA 6 trailer? I tuned in late. No, we didn't. I didn't see it. I haven't played GTA since GTA 2. I have no problem with it. I'm not going to take the Andrew Tate stance. If you saw that take, he was the only one. But yeah, I think I'm a Red Dead guy, not a GTA guy. So the trailer, though, I saw what I did see of it. And Tom Petty's got a song in it that has caused his such a deep cut from his '89 album Full Moon Fever, and it's caused him to jump back up into the charts. So if there's anyone out there that wants to put Moon Agers music in a video game trailer, please let me know. I like it. It's amazing where we're at with games, right? How they look. Even the new updated Fortnite, because I play Fortnite a lot. The new updated Fortnite map looks amazing. It's a level up. So I didn't see it, but you, Alden, you play games a little bit more than me like that, maybe, yeah?
Yeah, I haven't played a GTA proper in years. I think since 4. I never played 5. My favorite is Vice City. This one, very clearly Florida inspired. There are lots of like viral Florida videos that they recreated in the trailer. The alligator one, the twerking one, like it. Yeah, they captured it. This is a cesspool, and I on that level, I found it to be very funny. I have enjoyed when the same studio, Rockstar, has branched out into the West with Red Dead. I wish Bully had gotten a sequel, although I understand why Bully never got a sequel. Their school-based one, which did involve, making out with girls and beating up teachers and beating up other students, and like maybe not great. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play it. To see the medium get pushed to that level of graphics and that level of storytelling, and to see a woman as the protagonist, or at least co-protagonist in this one, is excellent, because women do crime as much as men do. I don't have a stat on that. Please, no one be like, no, they don't. But I'm excited.
Yes.
All right, Dylan.
Great one.
Dylan's question.
Final one here from Dylan. Any special Saturday, Sunday morning rituals? I don't know why, but those are my joy times of the week. All right, where do you go, weekend boy?
I hate to try to not seem like I'm dodging it, because I'm not, but it would have to be like Saturday, Sunday midday for me, because I still can stay up till 3, 4 in the morning very comfortably, and then sleep till 11 or noon. All right, if I'm allowed to do that, I will. But getting up at any point, especially on the weekends, I love to throw on my headphones, listen to music, depending on the tone. Sometimes it's like I want to listen to sad, melodic, dramatic, or I want to be upbeat. Whatever the tone is, while I take my dog out, drink my coffee, occasionally fight someone on Twitter.
Fight old guys on Twitter who have shit Star Wars picks. Yeah, absolutely. That's similar to mine. Like the life I lead as a freelancer, scrambling for food money every week, means my days are often the same. It's like Mondays, Force Center, Fridays, anytime. Like I have those days. Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays, I get up, sleep in a little bit, get up, make sure the dogs are fed and pottied, and then I sit down and play MLB The Show. That's when I play it the most. Manage my franchise mode while I listen to YouTube videos like Mr. Beat, not Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beat, history YouTube channel. Bo with a Fifth Column, Majority Report with Sam Sater and Emma Vigeland. I listen to those kind of shows. I'm an ASMR fan, but I'm trying to wake up, not go to sleep. And that's all I do for a couple hours. And it's nice. It's nice. Then I go, do I work out, go for a walk, write, do all that kind of stuff. Sundays, usually at one point, Grace and I take the dogs out for a walk. And that one of our dogs is blind, Baxter now. He's blind. And so it's a longer walk. We give him 20 minutes of sniffing, but he loves it. And he's so happy. He's 17. He's still going. And we get a coffee, and that starts my Sunday. So that's my routines.
You're a hikes guy too, right? You hike with some friends.
Yes. Me and Christian Ruvalcaba of the Wangers go hiking. But since we launched this show, I haven't had a chance to go hiking because we hike on Fridays. So I have to get up a little early and go hike on Friday. He's been busy too as the holiday season. A lot of, this town, as they say, shuts down in the holidays. And so that forces a lot of, crunch culture at jobs. So Christian's been working extra hard. So we're going to get back to hiking.
Yeah, we'll look forward to Ken's hike vlogs on the Clips channel.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So we got one more thing here.
One more thing. That is right. This is our pop rock word of wisdom to leave on, sponsored by Pop Rocket Radio, which features the Moon Agers. This week's it's Alden's choice. So Alden, take it away with what you got.
Oh boy. People in the comments, can you tell I was in a contemplative mood? It's time for Billy. It's time for Billy. She hasn't come up much on this show yet, but God, I love her. Maybe one day we'll have her on if we can, attain the status of bringing on millionaires. This is from the What Was I Made For track off the Barbie soundtrack, which has its own video, released as a single. And this song just really, really spoke to me, and I think questions of feeling existential and kind of directionless, but then sort of finding it in the end. And the lyrics are, cause I don't know how to feel, but I want to try. I don't know how to feel, but someday I might. Think I forgot how to be happy. Something I'm not, but something I can be. Something I want, something I'm made for, something I'm made for. And the coming around to maybe I forgot X, but I know I can. And maybe that's what the purpose is finding the purpose in the journey back to that thing. In that case, happiness. And on the movie level, personhood and womanhood and being an actual real thing and not just a toy.
Yeah.
I think Billie Eilish is truly one of the voices of her / our generation for a reason. I think I'm 7 years older than her, so there's a gap, but not too bad. It's interesting to see the way that I have now gotten to that point where I'm like, I'm finding truth in what the younger person is saying. And I didn't expect that to happen so soon. But she comes from an artist family. She's got to be one of my favorite Nepo babies. I say that as a joke. We're not like trying to do an Nepo baby conversation. But yeah, Billie Eilish, Pirate Baird O'Connell, quite the artist.
Absolutely love that. That's a great choice. I've really come to appreciate Billie Eilish in a way I didn't when she first showed up on the scene, because when you're old, it's easy to mock what's not necessarily for you. But then when you push past that, you might find that it's speaking directly to you. So I love that lyric. I'm a big fan of the Barbie movie, big fan of everything that's presented in that film. And Billie just went through something this last couple of weeks of who she's known she is suddenly now on display in a way that maybe she wasn't prepared for or not yet ready for, but it seems like she's able to navigate those waters beautifully. So this is great. And the pursuit for who you are and what you're made for is constant, and it changes. And what you thought you wanted 5 years ago is not what you need now, or not what you get. And that's part of the beauty. So great pop rock word of wisdom, my friend. Great one. Great one.
Absolutely. If you're listening, dye your hair green, dye your hair red, be a Barbie, be nice, be kind. And you can get through this weekend and the next week and all the weeks to follow.
That's right. And anytime I see someone at a convention or something dressed like Barbie, I always make sure to say now, hi, Barbie. And then they'll say, hey, Ken. I'll be like, yeah, you got it right. Because that's me. I'm Knuff. All right, everybody. That is our supersized edition of our 4th episode of Anytime with Ken and Alden. Don't forget to follow us on social, links down below. Subscribe to the Anytime channel to help build that out so I can move this off my channel and get back to dumb things. But I love doing this show with you all. A lot of fun. Good stuff. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.